Hey friends, in this video I'm going to show you how to draw a lion face with incredible texture for the mane. I found this inspiration from this storybook called How to Be a Lion, as well as from the children's author, illustrator, and artist, Rayner. You'll notice that my mane has many different materials in it, and I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create that fuzzy, textured mane. Before we get started, I want to talk to you a little bit about the colors that we will be using. Our lions are going to be created with the neutral colors. Neutral colors are not warm, they're not cool, they're somewhere in the middle. And neutral colors are made up of browns and grays. Some friends like to use black and white because black and white make gray, so those two colors are totally acceptable as well. I have here all the browns I could find in my markers. I have my pastels here and my crayons, but I'm going to start first with a pencil. We want to make the lion face and ears and then move on to our coloring. Let's get started. When we use our pencils, I want you to press it light like a feather. Pretend the pencil is tickling the page. We want a gentle outline, and we're going to cover that eventually with all of our colorful materials. But of course, if we make a mistake here, we want to be able to erase. So the first thing we're going to do is create an oval shape. Okay, I like to warm up with my finger. You can go ahead and do that too. You can have a bigger face, a smaller face. It's totally up to you. You'll notice I'm holding my paper the long way in portrait mode because we're doing a picture of the lion's face. Alrighty, I think I'm ready and warmed up, so I'm going to take my pencil. And you're going to notice I'm going to kind of hold it sideways so I don't use the point. The point and tip makes me press harder, and I want to press more gently. So I'm just going to go around near the center. Not yet. I'm getting ready. And here we go. There we are. Almost looks like kind of an upside down egg. Great. And if your oval doesn't look just like mine, good. All lions look different and all artists work differently, so you should have your own unique twist. Let's add some ears. The ears look like little ovals as well, but they're sort of incomplete. Again, I'm going to guess around and around. Think of a rainbow arch that's very tall. Here we go. One over here. One over here. Awesome. And say you don't love where you put it. You can always move your lines like this, change the shape, and then erase the lines you don't want. I don't erase my lines first because I like using my mistakes to change my final decision. So that's that. My friends, all we need to do now is add a few little details. How about a big nose right in front? Now the nose is going to look like the letter V, two diagonal lines, pretty far apart, not too narrow, far apart. You can try that with your hands if you want to. Okay, let's do that right in the middle-ish. Notice I'm practicing with my finger. Don't have to erase that. Here we go. Diagonal in, pause, diagonal up. Awesome sauce. Let's bring that down with a vertical line. I kind of like it a little bumpy. And now we're going to make just a little mouth snout lines. More diagonals. You know what to do. We're going to go diagonal out, and then we're going to actually angle it up a bit with a little curve at the end. Diagonal this way. And up, and you'll notice, oh dear, my face is so close to the end. Psh, no worries. Let's just make that face a little wider over here. No problem, right? Now, of course, we need some eyes, and these are going to be pretty simple eyes. Just little ovals colored right in. Now, if you want to, see this line where the head and the ears touch? You can go ahead and erase those if you want to. That part is optional. You could add the little ear, inner ear if you want. I will, just so I know where to add. And that, my friends, is it for the pencil. We can go ahead and put that away. Remember, a great artist always cleans up their area. And I like to clean as I go. Now, before we touch our oil pastels and our crayons, we want to start with marker for the mane. Now, if you want to add the face first, go for it. It's up to you which way you go. I like to start with my markers first and then go over everything with my crayons. So I'm going to save those for a moment. So this might look a little wonky at first, but that's okay. Don't judge your artwork until the very end. And even then, be kind. Let's get started on that mane. Now, our goal here is texture. We want that fuzzy wuzzy texture. So I'm going to start with my lighter colors first. And the reason we want to start with our markers and not our oil pastels is because the tips of our markers are very fragile, very sensitive, and they can absorb and get clogged by our pastels and crayons. So always go with your markers first if you're using a combination of markers, pastels, and or crayons. Here we go. I'm going for some curvy lines, and I'm going to start from the head and go all the way around. And I'm going to do some little curvy lines. Just like that. Some can be tall, some can be small, some can be thin, some can be long. Just take your time. Be mindful. Work with intention and purpose, young artists. I'm going to keep going with all of my marker colors until the very end, until I'm finished. I might start overlapping, but remember, you can choose to do thin lines too. Get creative. If you don't have a bunch of brown markers, that's totally fine. You don't have to use a ton of different colors. If you do, great. Again, if you don't, use what you have and get creative. Don't forget, you can always use your gray too. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit, and I'll see you back again when my marker mane is finished. Alrighty, now that my marker mane is finished, it's time to go in with some brown crayons. Now again, I have a bunch of brown crayons, different tans, chestnuts, mahoganies, chocolate brown, coffee brown, so many browns. I love it. But if you don't, the way you can change one color of brown is by pressing softly or pressing very hard. Changing your pressure will give you either lighter or darker shades of that brown. Now, before I touch the mane with my crayon, I am going to color in the face very lightly. I'm going to start around the eye, and I want to leave a little bit of white space around the eye just to show a little contrast and make it pop, pop, pop. So watch how I do this super duper duper lightly at first. And I'm going to make a little circle, a scratchy circle around the eye, just like that. See that? Really barely pressing. Just like that. I'm going to do the other side too. Excellent. Now, if you press too hard, it won't look that smooth, and that's okay. We all press differently. We all work differently. That's okay. Now, the only other thing we're going to do, let's color in this side. So I'm going to go from the nose to the chin, just like that. I'm going to leave this other spot inside here very, 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 very light. Very light for under the snout. And then over here, I'm going to press a little harder by the cheeks. This is going to give my lion some value. Difference of light and dark of a color. So I'm going to go a little darker under the chin, so I'm going to press harder. And you do your best. You color your lion in however you like. And of course the nose, if you want to see how I'm doing this in slow motion, I'm going in little circles so my lion face blends. Remember, I'm pressing softly. Light pressure. Now let's get those ears. I'm going to press a little harder around the edges of my ears. There we go. And I'm going to go around and around and around and around. A scribbly look is what we're going for, young artists. So get loose with it. Loosen up that grip now. Press a little harder. Oh yeah. Rock solid. I'm going to press a little harder near my nose. See that difference? And just go up a little further. So I'm adding another layer, a little harder, to create some difference and more texture in my face. Same thing under here. A little harder for my second layer. And don't worry, I know this looks a little goofy, Coach T. What are you doing up there? Don't worry, we're not done yet. A little darker up here. I'm going to switch browns. Actually, no, I'm not. I lied. I'm going to go at this with the mane now. Let's add some waves. You can go curly whirly. You can go straight out. You can do some loop-de-loops. The goal here is texture. The way something feels. Go ahead and repeat that. Texture. The way something feels. And we're going for fuzzy wuzzy. And to do that, we use a variety of different lines. Curvy, spiral, diagonal, vertical, horizontal. Zigzags might be a great touch in here. The goal is texture. Scribble, scribble, scribble away. Right over that marker. Awesome. I think I'm done with this crayon. I'm going to move on to this one. Just a little bit more by the nose. A little more in the ears. I want to really make that ear pop out. See how I'm kind of being messy? That's what we want. I'm going to get a little messy up here by the forehead. Again, texture is what we're going for. And let's add some more texture to the mane. Fill it in though. You don't want to see your white paper. Your objective is to cover that white paper with fuzzy, wuzzy mane. You got it. If you need some strength, channel your inner lion and give it a roar as you create. That's right. All right, moving on. Dark brown. I'm not going to touch the face with this one. My favorite to do with my crayons is my loop-de-loop lines. Oh, look how much texture I'm getting. Oh. Of course, some straight lines never did me wrong. And of course, I'm going to get that inner ear a little darker now. Oh yes. And don't worry, you might be curious, what about that eye? I haven't forgotten. We're going to do that right now. I'm going to cover my eyes with some nice black crayon. Oh, look at that pop. And now let's go over our nose. Diagonal down. Diagonal up. If you want to add a little thicker line by the edges, you could. See that? Just to change the shape of the line a little bit. Let's bring this down here. Diagonal down and curve up. Diagonal down and curve up. Now here is where I might say, I'll add a little bit of darkness underneath the chin. Maybe above the nosy nose. And now this spot looks a little, I don't know, looks a little naked to me. I gotta color that in just a little bit. Ah, yes. Much better. You can always go in and add more, so start lightly and work your way back up. Got it? Got it. I'm going to add some to my ears around here. How about that? And of course, mane time. fabulous, my friends. Maybe I want just a little bit more contrast here. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough, but keep going back in until you think, I think this looks pretty good. Or you might say, I need to add a little bit more. Go ahead and add a little bit more. It's your lion, right? Darken up those ears to make them pop. What do you think? I think I'm ready to add my final touch. My oil pastels. Oh, I can't wait. Alrighty, put my crayons away. Here we go. I am going to start with this sort of creamy beige color, okay? I like to think this is like one of my lightest shades of brown. And I'm just gonna go up. Ooh, look at that. It fills in my spaces. Lovely. You can even add some of this to your lion face. Now, if you use a lot of this, it'll cover up some of your other spots, but don't worry, we're gonna go over it again. Let's see what it looks like down here. I like that texture there. That's nice. And careful, you don't want to smudge. So be mindful of where your hands are, right? A little pop in the ear. Put that back. How about the brown? Yes. Ooh, look how rich and magical that looks. Oh, just delightful. Now, I know I said we're gonna do just the neutral colors, browns and grays, but maybe you're like, I don't have any different browns and I want to show some lighter shades. I have no problem with you going and grabbing this yellow here and just giving your lion some pop of yellow if you want. Totally optional if you need some blonde streaks in there for a lighter spot. It's not my personal favorite, but I can always go over it again with my other shades, which I like a little better. This is your personal preference, but for those of you who might not have a variety of pastels at home or different crayons, you can get creative. I'm going to get some white in there to pop, pop, pop. A little splash of highlight here. A little lighter there. And how about a final touch of black? Oh, yeah. And notice I got my loop-de-loop guidelines going. I can get a little darker too. Oh, look at that contrast showing. Contrast makes our colors pop, pop, pop. Yeah. Whew. Get a little scribbly, a little scrabbly. I like to add a little dark there. Oh, yes. And of course, our final touch. But before I add my final touch, which are the whiskers, I'm going to go back in and do one final shading with my darker crayon. Final pops of color really make that lion come to life. Maybe a little bit over here. What do we think? We ready? I think I'm ready for some whiskers. Alrighty. First, I want to do little dots. Dot, 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 dot. You can do that song too. Dot, 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 dot. Now, you're going to pretend your pastel is going up a ramp, starting on your page and ending in the air. Sound effects help me. So here we go. And it'll give you that nice feathered look. A few more dots maybe. And I think, my friends, that, as they say, is that. Now, you can of course choose to go back in and add a few more details wherever you see fit. You could draw the lion's shoulders at the bottom of your page like this. This part is totally optional, but it can be fun to give your lion, a neck or shoulders to stand on, especially if you have a smaller lion. And look at that. Oh, I just feel like roaring. Roar! Yes. I hope you have had fun creating this beautifully textured lion portrait. Happy creating!